Okay, now that I've gone through the basics of adding and editing a location, the properties panel, and the difference between the builder and the player, we'll start to use the file supplied in the resource CD. If you don't recall, we downloaded the resource CD, which you can do from the SBLi.org website under support, and then go to SBLi Builder tutorials, and you'll see this resource link here, and that's where you'll download all the files required to go through this tutorial, and that includes these here. And what we've got is this intro_tutorial.sblib. Now I've already got the builder open, which means I can't double click to open that file, so I'll need to do a file, load scenario, and then I will browse to my folder where I can find that file, and I'll say load. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is I'm just going to go into player mode, and we'll run through this scenario so that you can see what we're going to be creating. So to start with, we have an objectives page. So the objective of this scenario is to help the user identify a problem, investigate probable causes, find evidence to support your theory, there's a spelling mistake there, and make a conclusion. The next step is to click on Alex's bedroom. So we click on Alex's bedroom, and the first thing you do in this content page is give them a bit of information about what's happening. So in this case, Alex has tried unsuccessfully to keep fish in his bedroom. They keep dying. What could be going wrong? You need to become the detective. So there's a bit of information about it. We're going to insert an image to sort of represent what the issue is about, and also give a hint that as to how to use SBLi. So in this case it says move your cursor around the bedroom environment to see where you can gather information. So when you go into the environment, you'll see that the cursor changes to a finger when you've got something that you can click on. So in this instance there's a fishbowl. So the content will give you information about this fishbowl. In this case it looks clean. You examine it closely, it's sparkling, the plastic weeds look very clean and free of algae. However, there is a smell that reminds you of the stuff that clean bathrooms. So continue to have a look around, and as we can see, we can also click on Alex. So sometimes you might want to give them a hint that there's more than one thing to actually click in the environment window. So in this instance, we've got Alex is waiting to tell you all he knows, and we give them a hint that these are the questions on the side. So this is how an example of how you would use this action panel. So the first action we've got, ask about fish deaths. So if you click on that, Alex says he's not really sure, he washes the bowl often, but he's had 6 sets of fish die in the last 3 months. So your next option, well, let's ask him about cleaning the bowl. And what you may have noticed then when we asked about cleaning the bowl is that this swimming pool location came up. And as you can see, what we've got here in the content page is that Alex actually mentions the swimming pool because that's where he has been cleaning his bowl because the bowl is too big to fit under a water tap. Then we're going to ask just one more question, ask about fly spray. You know, have you used fly spray? Just coming up with ideas on what could be causing the issue. And within this, we've actually given an example of how we can use a link. So I'll be showing you how to use an internal link. And it says that some insect sprays are known to affect fish. So there's another possibility of what could be going wrong. And at this point, we're going to link it so that when you ask that question, the kitchen actually appears. And the reason for this is because that's where the fly spray actually can be found. Okay, so next thing that we do is start to explore. So we can actually go to the swimming pool or the kitchen, doesn't matter what order. So you click on the kitchen, and we've got here the content tells us that Mum's been preparing lunch, and you have been explained that you've enlisted some help to find out why the goldfish are dying. Once again, we're going to have a look around, and the fly spray says that it's safe for fish. So that kind of counts that one out as being the problem. And we also have a cake. And it says you're momentarily distracted. The reason we put that in there is to say that often red herrings are a good way for a student to learn. You don't want to just spoon feed them all the correct information they need. They need to be able to ascertain what is irrelevant to the case. So using red herrings is a good way to have the students think for themselves. And we can actually also talk to mum. And mum tells you, hey, remember your dad's a chemist. Why don't you go to the laboratory and get him to test the different chemicals? And as she says that, of course, dad's laboratory comes. Now, all of these things opening up as you click things all of these things are controlled by prerequisites that we create in the scenario. So now let's click on Dad's laboratory. It says you wander into Dad's laboratory. He's busy working, so we're going to ask him to test the water. So we'll click on that, and it says you asked Dad if he can test the water. He said sure, no problem. Did you bring the bowl with you? And it gives you that hint. Remember, it's in the bowl, in the Alex's bedroom. So we click on Alex's bedroom. This time we know that we need to collect this, and we're going to drop it into the collections box. So now when we go back to Dad, we can see that we now have a new action which says now Dad can test the water. And here is an example of a type of report. So I'll show you how to insert this report. And it says, what do you want to test for? I want to test for bugs, and I also want to test for nasty chemicals. And then you must submit. So in there you can get direct feedback. So testing for bugs, the water was bug-free. Testing for nasty chemicals, there were no really nasty chemicals in the water, but it did contain a lot of chlorine. This is a chemical used to kill bugs in the water. In here we've got now another hint. It says you think you know what's happening, you can give your conclusions. So once again, once that was submitted, we got a new action over here called your conclusions. So we'll click on that, and now we're going to select which conclusion we've come to. So it was the water pool was toxic, and we can say submit. And then we give feedback for each one of these, so it can understand why each one of these options were correct or incorrect. And what you'll also notice here, that now that we submitted that one, we've got the scenario has ended, a final action was performed. So that lets them know that it's all over, and I will show you how to do that as well. So that's a very simple, obviously, a scenario, and it's just there to show you how to use each element. So I'll now start building this from scratch, and you can go along with me, and we'll see how to create these locations and add the prerequisites so that the locations open after certain things have been done.